Talking about documentation, holy moly! Anybody that does a mortgage, I mean, you're just signing your life away for a good 30 minutes straight. Not know even by the end, you're just signing stuff that you don't even know what you're signing anymore.
It's gotten easier though.
That is not true. We are delighted, excited, maybe, to be joined by Kim Hasty, CMS Mortgage, Marshall Thundering Herd super fan. The reason I said maybe in there is because some of us on this broadcast are not necessarily fans of Marshall, but that would be Tim, not me. I could care less. No, I went to West Virginia University, the leading school in the state of West Virginia. I guess there's only probably 2 schools really in the state of West Virginia that matter, right?
That's right.
Marshall and West Virginia.
That's right.
How far are they apart?
Oh, pretty far.
The state. Yeah, one's on one side, one's on the other.
Yeah. That's why, and we have bigger, it was weird because for a long time, Marshall and WVU were in different 1A, 1AA, so they didn't really play each other in sports. If they did, it was like one of the first 2 games of the season in any sport, just because it would be non-conference play. Then Marshall moved up, and they played a little bit, but I think West Virginia is bigger. I think West Virginia has bigger rivals than Marshall, even though Marshall is in the state, which is kind of weird to think about. I guess Pitt is 60 minutes away. That's probably our biggest rival.
Yeah.
Or that's who we're supposed to hate, but who knows?
Yeah, that's a crazy team. Crazy team when you all play. Oh
yeah.
My God.
Are you a big documentation person?
Personally, no. My husband is the list maker for everything, and
so he has a honey-do list for you. So you're saying, wait, I can do that for my wife? This is great.
No, to go to the grocery store, he's got the list, and I'm like, it's the grocery store. I'm going to pick food out.
Don't you think that having a list, though, saves you money?
Actually, I will admit it does. It does.
Unless you go to Costco.
I do think also and I didn't used to be a big fan of this stuff, but buying online and then going to pick up, you also don't overbuy.
Yeah, because you're not looking at it.
Yeah.
That is the great thing about online, having your groceries delivered. I find we just check off the stuff that we need. You're not going by end caps, going down different aisles that you don't need, and you just do what you got to do, and it's delivered.
I have trouble with produce and stuff. I still want to see it.
Yeah, we have transitioned. We'll make one trip to the store to pick up that stuff, but what a time saver for us it's been.
Yeah.
The way to fix that though is to buy the bag bulk things, where a bag of apples, a bag of potatoes, things like that. Yes, you don't get to hand pick all the things, but I'm with you in that regard.
Actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to say companies, but we use and have used Neighborhood Harvest for years, which is all local, and love it. And I can get lettuce and tomatoes and everything all year round because it's hydroponically grown, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, that whole space is really, really an interesting space, and that it's just going to continue to grow in my mind, especially as just urban,
is Neighborhood Harvest local?
Yeah.
Oh, there. Okay.
It's owned by the same family that owns Baker's Crust.
Interesting.
They're in Suffolk.
So how is the world of mortgages right
crazy?
Now? Yes.
Has
the housing market cooled down? Is it still on fire? What's happening?
It has changed. I won't say that it has cooled down so much, is that it has changed. So for the past 2 years, it has just been refinance, and still a lot of purchases too. The refinances have backed off since the rates have increased, but purchases, building, still strong.
So from a From the mortgage side, is that something that you all pay close attention to? I mean, it seems like that's the big issue right now, is the lack of inventory.
Well, from my perspective, inventory doesn't, it's that's kind of more of the buyer's concern.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming to us when they're ready to purchase. But the hard part has been more of working with clients, in particular first-time home buyers who aren't really able emotionally and comfortably move very quickly in the decision process. And these houses are going, because the inventory is so low, they're going so quick.
Yeah.
And, it's not like, you go and you look at a house and you go home and you talk about it and you maybe
this pre-approval doesn't remedy that issue though, because they still have to go through a deeper issue.
Well, you got to get to the point that you want to put the contract down.
Sure.
So, it's kind of like you go look at the house. Oh, if you love it, you better turn to your realtor while you're still standing there. And that's what I was saying, is it's not go home, talk about it, sleep on it.
What is a very quick decision? I mean, there's a guy in my neighborhood I was talking to recently, and he's like, yeah, our realtor thinks we're gonna put it on the market April 1. And we're going to do an open house, and he thinks that we'll have it sold that day.
Yeah.
And I was shocked to hear that, because you were hearing stuff, I don't know, August, July of 21, where things were wild and they were going within 5 minutes of being listed, maybe not even being listed in an area that I think isn't necessarily a hot market, being, the 757 region of Virginia. Right. Where other places in because apparently in Northern Virginia, DC, I mean, stuff is going. Tim, people, it's just who you're going to sell it to your friend, and it's going. They don't have to list it. It's a wild world.
Yeah,
yeah.
And one thing that's construction prices and all that, with if there's any kind of improvements and just how all that is swinging into stuff, it is I guess they say it's the Wild West.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, and Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but especially as you were saying, the first-time home buyers, I don't know what generation that we're talking, if it's the millennials or whatever the case is, but Richmond, for example, talking to a buddy of mine, and he was saying that one, you have inventory that is just, there isn't any.
Yeah.
But so, and you have the first-time home buyers that are trying to jump in at a certain level. Mm-hmm. And then you also have the older generation that's looking to downsize. So they're trying to get that same level price range of homes. So now you've got two groups of people that are fighting for a limited inventory, and then the folks that are downsizing, they have the disposable income or the proceeds from the close of their previous home that they can afford to bid $100,000 over the asking price. And then the younger first-time homeowners, they're just left out. There's nothing they can do.
And don't forget to factor in investors, because they've been hot too.
People trying to buy, and then just from a recurring revenue perspective, where they'll flip it or they will use it to rent out to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think that's the hottest market right now, is the investment side of it, where people?
They're going pretty strong too. And those people are willing to purchase properties that need work. They'll put a little bit into it, hold on to it for a couple of years, rent it out, and then sell it off. So again, back to what, we were talking about versus that first-time home buyer who may be scared off by, something needing a new roof, pretty soon or what have you. The investors are still scooping all that stuff up too. So it's interesting. And the first-time home buyers are having a lot of trouble because of it.
mortgages are interesting to me. I feel like it's a process that you spend a lot of time on the phone with. You spend a lot of time providing a ton of information for. Like Tim, I think you said this on the broadcast. Once you're in that meeting, doing the closing, you're just signing. You get carpal tunnel because you're signing away so much. It's absolutely ridiculous. But then within a couple of weeks, it's like that mortgage gets sold over and over again. It's odd to me. And I don't know that this is your space to say this, but it's odd to me that you go through so much with the mortgage to buy a house, where if you look at it, let's say, let's just do simple math. You buy a house for $500,000, you do it for 30 years, you're going to end up spending $750,000 to $1 million in interest alone on that house, right? Just because of the way that it works for the body of that. It's odd to me that that the mortgage world puts so much emphasis on something that they make so much money on anyway, where with the car, you can do it in like 2 seconds. It's just, it's very odd. Why is it so detailed on something like that, where other purchases, maybe not from the same pricing standpoint, but there's a lot of time that you have to spend on all that paperwork and all that. Why is that? Have you seen?
Okay. So you kind of touched on 2 things. So let me start with the easy one first. You talked about, being
3rd grade level.
So there's 2 ways that your loan is sold off. It may not be the loan, but it's the actual servicing side. So the people who are on the phone with you when you call to make your payment, they're the servicers. And it's not the actual loan that's sold off, but it's the servicing portion. So the lender may just really be in business to lend the product out, but not want to do the dirty work, the monthly collecting and everything. So it's the servicing portion. So it could just be that they sold off the servicing portion of your loan. But then sometimes loans are sold off, and that is completely a business decision. And it's simply to open up money for the lender. So they have this pot of money. They lend, and then they will sell it off to bring money back in so they can lend some more. So it's a business decision. Don't take it personally. It doesn't mean that you had a bad loan, a crappy loan, a subprime loan. It's a business decision. So yes, it happens. But then you kind of got into the document side of it. So if I said, Zach, let me borrow $5, you probably go, okay, well, not while I have this wonderful, marvelous t-shirt on, but I'll ask Tim for $5. But you're asking for $350,000 for 30 years. You're going to tie up somebody else's money for 30 years, and it's a little bit more than $5. So a lot of your paperwork is to make sure that you are secure, but also that the property is secure. So a lot of the paperwork that you do is the title work, to make sure your title's clear, that there's not going to be any issues of somebody else claiming the property. They have rights to the property. And as crazy as it sounds, that does happen for all sorts of reasons. But so the closing paperwork, yes, there's a lot there. They're securing their money. They're securing your ownership. It's all of that. The documentation in the application process has gotten easier because I could almost do most of it online. Like the whole application, I send you a link, you do it, you upload your documents, or you connect your bank account and it brings your statements over, your pay stubs. So much of it's electronic now that it's not as cumbersome as it used to be when you had to come to me with this stuff, you can just upload it, pull it off of the computer, e-sign. It's wonderful.
Just talking, hearing you talk about it just gives me flashbacks to that process. And it was such a cumbersome process that, I mean, our rates are so low now, and you get all this mail to refinance, and it's just like the nightmares of just trying to have to go through that. It's just like, I'm good with my interest rate. I'm just gonna ride this thing on out, and in the recycling bin it goes.
It's so